Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Journey Conversation number 16 for installment 16. I think that was chapters 120 to 129, right? Great. Over to you, Rick. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Christina.
And Bill,
Everybody,
Lorraine, everybody. Yeah, yeah.
Lorraine, Bill, Jude, if it's okay with you, we have some business to take care of first. Not only is there a message for us, one message that we're accustomed to, but there are three. So let me
Uh-huh.
share with you now. That's okay.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, everybody. Wednesday group message number five. This came on Sunday, October 25th at 1:33. Dear brethren, I feel very welcome here in your midst. You each bring me into love's embrace. You are each love in action in this material world. When you give love to another child of God, I am there. I wanted to talk to each of you today about the topic of inheritance. You are my heirs. You do my work on the earth by extending the love you receive from our great Mother Father. There's no greater calling. I am one with Jesus. You are his heirs as well. We paved the way on the earth, and now you walk in our footsteps. Each step is taken with us by your side. You go nowhere where we are not with you. We know your situations and your deepest thoughts. We know your fears and worries. Remember that you are my hands and feet. You are Jesus's hands and feet. You each represent us in your own unique and individualized ways. I am so appreciative of your willingness to show the world what love looks like. A journey into the unknown merely gives suggestions. Together, we are free to create beyond these basic building blocks. In love and admiration, Mother Mary, your sister in Christ, and that stopped at 153 on Sunday. Now, last night at 7:38, we have a new message, number 6. Dear brethren, I have an urgent and unexpected message for this group at this time. I don't want you to become complacent and just expect one message per week. You have already been given a message by our dear Mother Mary, but I am here to tell you that you may receive more than one per week or even per day. Everything is about to change, including how often these messages are given and how they are given. It is imperative that we be able to communicate with our charges on a more constant basis. As Mother Mary said, a journey into the unknown was a mere starting point. We will be needing to accelerate our times of group communion, and this scribe is being asked to facilitate this process. This is union with the greatest of love and admiration, Jesus. And that stopped at 7:50 last night. Now the third message I'll go through now, and that's message number 7. And we just received this about a half an hour ago. Dear brethren, as we embark on our individual and collective journeys into the unknown, let us pause for celebration for everything that brought all of you to this point. Few have dared to tread these waters. I wish to impart my knowledge and wisdom to each of you as we are truly a living, breathing team. I am with you now as we gather. Okay.
And who was that by?
This is from Jesus. I forgot to write it.
Jesus. Okay.
Gonna write it now.
Well,
Okay.
these are very good to know.
Okay. So if it's okay with everyone, I guess, just know that we could get a message at any time, and I'll send it to you as soon as I can, and it might be, pretty often. So is everybody okay with that?
Oh yes, I'd love to hear.
Okay, good,
Yes, definitely.
good.
Where's my-
Yes, please.
I will get these 3 messages to everybody this afternoon.
Thank you, Rick.
You had the- Yeah.
How is everybody doing?
Fine, you need to get rid of your Zoom page there. You seem to,
Oh, that's what I'm doing. Thank you. I need help.
there you go, you did it.
There you are. I'm like, where are they? I lost them. I cannot find them. Okay, everything's good now.
Christina, it looks like you've buy local. I see 2 boxes there for you.
Oh, that's Irene. The other one is Irene.
Ah, okay.
We still don't know how to fix that, huh? You're on mute, Christina. Oh, I guess maybe she muted herself to talk to Irene. Hi, Zonia. The closed captioning is on. Yeah,
You're on mute, Sonia.
Yeah, good morning.
there you go.
Yeah, happy to see you, all of you. Yeah,
Mhm.
Good morning to you.
yeah. Good
Ah,
morning, good morning. Yeah.
So how's everybody doing? What's coming up for you this week with our new installment?
well, I'm so glad to see these messages today, because I have been listening to Tina Spalding. She does Jesus. And I've been waking up really early. So now with the time change, I'm gonna be up really early. But so I listen to that early in the morning. It's a great way to start the day. But I was just appreciating, I just love hearing from Jesus. I just like being in that contact. And I know that I'm never alone. I mean, that I've known for a long time. And to be able to call on that. But the other things that came up, and 2 things happened today I had a chuckle about. A neighbor of mine, since COVID, she's been, I think, a bit depressed. She's got a young child, Grace, who I love. And I haven't been able to spend time with this child who's just turned 3 since this COVID. And it really, I don't have children or grandchildren, but this little girl just has won my heart. And so I was wondering, did I do something that Emily's mad at me or whatever? Because her husband will come over and help me, but he's a very quiet guy and he's never said anything. So she's in my prayer list and everything else. And every once in a while I think, well, what did I do? And if I did, she should let me know so I could either apologize or never do that again or whatever. So she's been on my mind, what's wrong. And I do send her emails, and now at Halloween, I know that last year Gracie dressed up as a doctor, a little doctor. She was so cute. And so I've been sending her things that the neighborhood is doing with social distancing, and I never got a response. And then I also sent over 2 little books for Gracie because her husband helped me. He wouldn't take any money, so I got Gracie some books. So then I got an email last night saying, yeah, we'd like to come over and see your decorations. So they're going to come over this afternoon after my classes. And I just went, I just got that, that was my answer. She suffers from allergies, and I know she's been quite depressed during all this COVID stuff. So that was one. What was the other one? Kind of a similar thing. it was like something that was bothering me. What didn't seem to be settled or whatever got settled. I don't even remember what it is because it's settled. But so that constant communication and knowing that we're never alone is just, necessary. So getting more messages from Mary and Jesus, I'm happy. Very happy.
Okay, I'm not on mute. Gee whiz, I kind of second that. I think it's wonderful that they're going to increase and that we're being called together to receive them. And Rick, you're going to pass them on. It kind of indicates to me that maybe we need to do this in unity and in union as examples of what, what being in union is. I mean, we are in union with Source, right? And our Christ self, we're the one. But maybe to be a walking, talking example of what unity can look like, we are being called together for could be a short period of time. It could be whatever it's going to be. We don't know, one day at a time. But so I'm excited. I'm happy to hear that we'll be getting these messages. As far as the installment, I just love them, and everyone is so full. I think we could probably dedicate an hour, at least 15 minutes to every chapter, right from 120 to 129, and that's impossible with the time we have. So there's lots of things that do come out for me this week. I will just speak to one because you know how I can get confused and off track if I'm trying to hold three things in my mind. Doesn't work. But the metaphor of the being on a great big airliner and everyone is on a crashing jet and we need to put our masks on so we can help others. And we are on a big spaceship hurling through space. We are in this together, but the themes that always keep coming back, we can no longer live in separation. The biggest problem is the idea, thinking we're separated. The world is getting messier, but the world is getting messier. We're on that plane and we're all part of it. We're all in it. We help make the mess. We weren't exempt from watching others make the mess. We are all responsible for the mess, right? And we've been called together in this group. And I think earlier in the installments, we were compared, I don't know if they used the word foundation or organization, but we were compared to the Red Cross. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to read more than what is in here, but what came up is this a prophetic metaphor. We're on a crash course, right? And we need to get those masks on so we can help others. Okay, what was I? Forget the point, but I'll just move on. What has come up too for me in some of the other things I will give a listen to is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Lori Ladd, but one of her presentations, because she has guides, she doesn't channel, but she will impart information that she has just received. And one of the things she was asking us this week is, how are you treating other humans? There's not them and us. We're all on this plane together. We're all going to go down together, right? It's not us versus them. It's only we. And that came up just very recently in our installments, right? We're the we. We're not separate. We're the we. So it makes me think and reflect. What she pointed out is, with all the things we've been going through and seeing the division and the hatred and all the messy stuff come up, we ourselves have gone on a roller coaster ride with it, because we can be feeling anxious, maybe we can be feeling frustrated, and then we can feel we're okay, we're going to get this, we've got this, we've got the best spirit team we could possibly have. what else is there, right? There isn't anything else. So we've been able to see these things, to see how we have reacted and how we have responded. How have we treated others in our moments of frustration, or looking at a situation and then taking a side, or wanting to blame somebody, right? But that is sort of preparing us to look at, if we're going into some kind of real crash, where ultimately it's a matter of survival, and how are we going to behave as humans? How are we going to be humane to one another, right? So I thought that kind of fit in with Journey, because we are being asked to love unconditionally and not see others as other. We are all just one. So it's all quite fascinating. I find I'm loving all of it, everything. That last line in that chapter is, we do not seek to create more religious people or more spiritual people or more secular people. We all fit in the basket. We fall into one of those categories, right? Or angry people, I think it did mention as well in this chapter. Angry secular people. We only seek to create people who don't believe that they are people. So but that kind of stood out for me. But many things. Christmas is every day. The gifts we give, if they can't be received or unwrapped, they'll just stay under the everyday Christmas tree. The gifts will just pile up. It's beautiful, because we receive as well, right, when we give it. So there was that. I thought what was emphasized a lot too, the identity separation. I think that was 128 for sure. I'm just looking at my little side notes here. But anyway, bitterness, I think that's, sort of ties in with what I said about our own frustrations, or our own feeling fine, or being anxious. But those things that come up and do evoke some kind of reaction, or some kind of bitterness, or we want to blame one side, or that's because we need to see it, because that's something that we need to look at in ourselves, of course, right? So I just find there's so much meat and so much stuff to unpack in each one of the chapters. So I've been on my soapbox here. I'll let someone else share. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Lorraine. Yeah, Lorraine, you reminded me of a beautiful picture that Christina gave us this week of this Christmas tree. Remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And that is so cool, that when you give a gift to someone, that it just stays there forever until they're ready to receive it. It's never wasted. That's awesome. Thank you, Christina, for that picture.
Yeah, I'm going to put my Christmas tree up early, and I may never take it down. Christmas is every day. I love Christmas. Yeah. Love comes down at Christmas time. I love Christmas. So yeah, thank you for that little tip, or a little reminder, Rick, because I'm going to be putting my tree up early this year with that cool picture in mind. Remind me of Christina as well.
I like chapter 121. It just tells us to be ourselves. Just be yourself. You don't have to be any kind of way. There's no, goalpost or anything. Just be yourself, and try not to worry, and try to let go of the past, and just be full of love, and be connected to spirit with these great messages we're receiving. And so that really makes it seem easier, to me.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
So. I love that one too. And another theme is, let everything go, let it go, and begin again. Whatever happened yesterday is gone. But I put at the end of that chapter, I put, only love can change the world. And I've got begin again with a great big love heart. But I love that one too, Rick.
Yeah, Rick, be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
There's nobody else exactly like you.
No. God, I'm glad they broke that mold.
How are you doing, Christina?
Good. A little tired. There's been, I really can't even talk about what's happening. I feel like an iceberg, and the tip is what you're seeing. And if I talk, it's just like the tip still. There's so much happening deep, deep within me, much more so than ever before. And there's been a lot happening for a very long time. But Lorraine, when you were talking about bitterness, it did remind me of one specific thing, because that's the other thing I don't even remember. I go deep into each moment with, presence and being with whoever I'm with, doing whatever I'm doing, from my belly. It's like from my heart, not even from my heart, it's from my belly womb area. It's way down in my belly. And then I don't remember, the only reason I remember this specific thing was because I happened to go on Facebook 2 minutes after it happened. And somebody had asked in a group where we do share very deeply, there's so much happening, so much energy, what's going on for you? And I just wrote it because it just happened. And because I wrote it, I think I remember it. So here's the thing, talk about bitterness. 24 hours earlier, I've been watching my grandchildren sharing so sweetly about the Halloween candy. They just make sure everybody gets some, everybody gets what they want. They run up and down, making sure everybody gets everything. And it was just so lovely. And so 24 hours later, my husband and I having tea, and I just talked about that. It came back to me how beautiful that little tableau was, watching them. And all of a sudden, all these memories started flooding in as a child. And just to be clear, my father was extraordinarily strict and controlling. This was not to do with the culture I grew up in. My cousins grew up very differently. So it was just scarcity is the summary word to use for it. Meaning it's not that there wasn't enough, but not being given enough, being rationed. And the flip side of that was having to eat what you didn't want, to the point of throwing up. I remember doing that. So it was a very strange thing that I felt. It all kind of came back. And then I was crying. And then I just went deep into the crying and feeling everything. And then I kind of breathed and went into my belly and kind of enfolded all of it. And it was like a platinum light just landed in me. And then it was over. And the whole thing took about 3 minutes. But it was like afterwards, when I wrote about it 3 minutes later, 5 minutes later, when I got on Facebook, I said it was like almost like a sonic toothpick is picking out the last specks of stuff that I didn't even know was there. I had no idea I was still carrying anything, any bitterness around scarcity. But, for those of you who know me a little more, I'm all about chocolate, okay? And one of the memories that came back was, my father wrapping up all this chocolate for some friends, and the friends opening it right away and giving it to the little girl who was 5 years old. And she was walking around with this big bar of Cadbury's Dairy Milk torn open, and she was biting into it. And I had never held a candy bar like that. I'd been given a square or two. So those were, I've thought about those things, but obviously bitterness needed to go, and it's gone. I don't even know how to describe it. It just went within a few minutes. Thank you for asking, Rick. And like that, many things are happening. Things I didn't realize I was still carrying.
We love you, Christina. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Love you all, and that's.
And we love chocolate too.
Yes. How are you doing, Bill?
Let me just start off by saying, wow. Sorry I missed you folks last week. I had a prior commitment, but thank you for sending the note from last week, as well as these notes that we've received today. I'm stepping back and watching just this feeling of things just accelerating in a way that I'm not fearful of, but instead it's more like am more observant of it, more observant of what's unfolding, and having no idea what's unfolding, but just granting that rather than having the answers, to simply to show up and to see what's to be done, what's to be realized in a given moment. And it just feels like all of this is accelerating. I appreciate these letters that we've gotten today. Add them to the collection. I savor all of them. Feel honored to be a part of this and to be joining you, and actually to be doing whatever I'm doing that in effect called me to be here, or just has me going out and doing what I am doing. Had a great meeting with Christina last week, and that supports this process, this one project that I have. And then I read the other day, we're on a plane we're on a crashing jet, and I'm supposed to be afraid of that, I guess, at least as the past would say it. And yet I see that as a metaphor to say that what's unfolding here is I feel like we're doing what we need to prepare to be ready for whatever is here for us. No planning, but instead simply being open is what it feels like for me. And I'm really savoring this, beginning to share more of this material with my beloved wife. The two brief stories, I'll keep them brief, but it was like, I had a strangest dream several days ago, and it was a dream about watching two kids in their teenage years or early 20s and what have you, looking at them struggling through life and just having the most difficult time about it. And I woke up from the dream and I said, what was that about? Because I didn't recognize them. And then ultimately I began saying, well, maybe I was one of those guys, or maybe I was both of those guys. I don't know. But shortly after that, what came up were the ideas of the first bedazzled relationship that I had, where I just felt so overwhelmed and so in love with wanting to have a relationship with a given woman that became a disaster. And it was like a flood of all the stories from that came up. And I was watching that and I was saying, well, what do I do better? I wonder what she's doing now. Here it is 55 years later. Okay. And gratefully, the message that was there, I come to lesson 121, and the first words in it are letting go. And clearly, this is about letting go. This just happened to be the time that this matter came up. So I shared the details with my wife today, or the other day, just from a place of loving and sharing. And it just feels like even that's part of a healing process that's going on. And then there's today. This morning, I had, as it worked out, I had 5 different meetings, 5 different sessions, either with Course of Love groups, Course of Miracles groups, or preparing to offer a Sunday lesson at a church. And part of this was having to learn how to record a Zoom, not in a group, okay? Never done it, but we found that we were in a place that we had to do that, or I had to do that. And amidst all this, I stepped out for a moment and I remembered Jesus is with me. And there's nothing to be alarmed about, nothing to be struck about or concerned, nothing to, like in the past, having failed at something, just go back and do it. And lo and behold, the system just made it that much easier for me. So it was the way I'm learning these days. It all worked out. It all came to be all in time to get the recording done, get it sent off, and to be here with you folks today. It's just feeling this very dynamic energy that's going on that I'm in the midst of right now, and I reading the notes, the chapters, the letters that we're getting, and being here. It's just an affirmation, affirming, all that's unfolding here. And I'm ready. I don't know what I'm ready for, but I'm ready. We'll find out. Thanks. I'm complete.
Thank you, Bill. How are you doing, Zonia?
Came out as Zonia.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So,
Oops.
I'm just listening.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand everything that they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, feel
Yeah,
free to
thank
jump in if you want to, okay?
that is okay. And I like very much all the installment. Yeah, they are guiding me my daily life to be proactive of what already I know. That is a very, very, very big help to put into practice everything I know already from a call, because I didn't study a course on miracle, but a call. And yes, it has helped me put me in the actual perspective. Now is the time, yes, do it. And I will put some posts with photos of the sign of the freedom of expression I'm experiencing now, to be yourself. Amazing, yeah. I'm very happy. Thank you, Rick. Yeah. Thank you for everything. Yeah.
You're welcome. How are you doing, Irene?
On mute.
Can you hear me, Irene? Maybe she stepped. Oh,
There
she's
you
back.
go.
There we go.
How are you doing?
Well, it's good to hear that other people are, stuff is coming up to the surface of their mind that needs to be healed from way back when. And because that's what I've been going through, and stuff I didn't even know still existed. What do you mean you still exist? I thought I handled that before. So it's sort of a plus and a minus. I'm sure it's a plus, but it's very difficult. I find it very difficult. I had a very challenging life when I was a kid, and although as I say, I thought I'd made peace with a lot of it. I don't know if it's just coming up for one last look, but and a whole lot of other things. So I'm glad to hear from listening to all of you say a little bit about that, about, things also popping into their mind that needs to be rethought about, or blessed again, or whatever. So thank you.
Thank you, Irene. When that happens to me, I tend to brood about it for a long, long time. And Christina shared that she was able to kind of process it pretty quickly. I guess that comes in time. But it's interesting how literally anything could trigger these deep things from the past. And, and we're all at different places as far as how well we're able to sort through it and even identify what it is. So Thank you, Irene.
You will.
How are you doing, Jamuna?
Hi, aloha.
Hi. Aloha. Nice to see you.
Yeah, sorry, I almost forgot about time. I'm doing good. Yeah, yeah.
You might want to let her know about the communication we got that she might
Oh.
want to, yeah.
Jamuna, we shared at the beginning that we have 3 messages this week, and I'll be sending them to you along with everybody at the end of this session. Okay?
Awesome.
Okay. The second message just said to expect more frequent messages. So if it's okay, I'll be just sending them as I get them. Okay?
Sure thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Christina put a lot of really interesting topics for us to discuss and so feel free, anybody who, if anything is really prompting you to speak to it, please feel free.
I made a note on 128. Is that remember the separation is the one and only problem. Everything else is an effect of the separation, which never really happened and is quite impossible. So that should give us a lot of comfort, or, you know, it's kind of like it's, as long as we no longer feel separate, we can bring that wholeness to others just by having that for ourselves. But I remember in the Course of Miracles, the one lesson, I am the problem. There's one problem, one solution. I'm the problem. And my problem is thinking that I'm separate from God, from Jesus, from Mary, from you, from anyone. And so that that struck me as, this is the simplicity of it all that seems to make it look so difficult, but it's so simple. Really, there is only one problem. And that's us thinking that we're separate from one another. And then also in the Course of Love, it talks about the pass through. When these things come up, just allow them to pass through, let it go. Yeah, look at it. Irene, I do believe it is. It's kind of like, I think they come up because we're now at a place where we can handle them, understand them more, and be more willing to just let them go. A lot of those have been coming up for me too. And I let them go, so I couldn't even tell you what they are. But some of them, I go, some of them are so old. And you just go, where did that come from? What made that come up now? Some of them, I'm a bit chagrined, but others just make me smile. And I just go, well, yeah, thank you. That was a good feeling to come back. But, and they do seem to come out of the blue. I don't sit there and try to conjure them up at all. So, yeah, it's interesting. So the Let It Go chapter
So
was
true, yeah. You just don't know where it's coming from. And that's really what chapter 129 was talking about. You know, what do you do when bitterness comes up, you know? It's like a barking puppy wanting your attention. It just wants you to pay
so
attention.
cute.
And it's really, for me, I felt that a couple of times before, but this felt different. It's sort of less of a letting go. And it felt like I felt more free and powerful and more of myself at the end of those few minutes. It was like it passed through, it transmuted, and I reclaimed that piece of myself that I was holding apart, talking about separation, Judy. So I feel totally clear that everything that comes up is inviting us to reclaim that. And what was unusual for me was that the memory, the thing that triggered it, I don't really like that word, but everybody uses it, was a beautiful thing that happened the previous day with the grandchildren. You know, it wasn't a nasty experience. So there's more ease and flow with it. And Rick, if I may just quickly add, Bill was talking about not knowing what's going to happen next. We don't know, you know. I just want to say that for me, November, when a journey into the unknown, well, Frozen 2 came out, that movie, it really captured a kind, almost like a prophecy of what was coming. A Journey into the Unknown was one of the songs, and the other one was Just Do the Next Right Thing. And we're literally being ourselves in each moment. And each moment's different. But there's a movie coming out on Christmas Day, and it's going to come out on, I guess, at home, Disney or whatever. It's not going to be in the theaters. And it's called Soul. And I had pre-ordered the book, and it came. And it's for
Oh,
kids. But I would say A Journey into the Unknown is all about soul. And imagine that, a book for kids, which, and I'm 3/4 the way through with my grandchildren. We read on Zoom every day, but it's just so perfect, Rick. I mean, it's all arriving in every imaginable package to be consumed by every person. I mean, every expression, every form is important, paying attention to everything. So thank you.
thanks for telling us about that. I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
It just seems like the energy that I'm feeling is so accelerating, and so much of, just like you just said, Christine, so much of what is going on is reflected in what we're doing right now and what the journey is showing us or asking of us, right? In speaking about the things that have come up for us, and maybe Christine, not that we're here to analyze, but you had so appreciated and found so much beauty and joy in watching those grandchildren, that it stirred the exact opposite that had happened to you in life. And now you could see, I mean, it wasn't something to be bitter about. It wasn't something to resent. It happened to you when you were 5, living in this scarcity. But you're at the point now, you just see the beauty in the sharing, and it filled you with so much joy. So those things are coming up for us, and in Journey on that 120, telling us we're knee deep in the experience of separation, and it is looking at the large scale events that are going on outside. It says, who is to say that something was wrong and shouldn't have happened? Where is acceptance and forgiveness in your society? It clearly does not exist on a large scale, but the very last sentence in that chapter is, looking at life's unwanted events and just seeing them as simple, innocent mistakes that may even have large catastrophic results is to look at them through the eyes of love. So all the disaster, or all the things that we think are hatred and division that we're just even seeing out there, is just a mistake. And maybe it's bringing on catastrophe, but we're asked to look at them through the eyes of love, so that there is no bad guy. There is no one to blame out there, right? It's all happened. It's brought us to where we're at, but something's going on, and it's like, leave everything behind. And I find this energy that I'm talking about, it brings me to see everything through those eyes of love. And why do we blame people? Why do we judge people? Why do we give them a model, a make, and a number, and a color? Why haven't we seen the glass full, not half empty? Why haven't we seen the beauty? And that to slip up or mess up was just a mistake. Just a mistake. As Christine, you've said it many times, everybody's just doing the best they can, or it's come through in our message, in our installments, in our chapters, right? Everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be. They are perfect love. We all make mistakes. We're still making mistakes, right? But we need to, if we look at everything in love, how did Lori Ladd say it the other day? We are moving somewhere. We're moving towards somebody somewhere. And she said, I don't like to use this metaphor. Maybe shared this last week. She said, but we're like a battle. We're an army. And she said, but we're all together. So we're all fighting to preserve or keep what we're fighting for. Going into 5D, the light, the source of love, we're all fighting for it. And because some are wounded and lying there and can't be helping, or they're having a scrabble in the back, we're still, as a collective, trying to shift, trying to move ourselves forward into this unknown. And
Lorraine, I think I absolutely, and I just wanted to say that for me, the hardest thing has been applying all of that to myself. So as you were speaking, it became really clear to me what this is about. And in fact, one of the messages Rick read used the word complacent. And I feel as if this was a demonstration within me, because you talk about the innocence and so on. Of course, my father passed away 32 years ago. And the last 6 months of his life, I was there with him in Malaysia with my 2 infant children, taking care of him with my mother at home. He was bedridden. And I can't tell you how many oceans of tears were shed in that time. So, and there's been, a process over many years. So for this to happen, it wasn't at all about him as such, which was so interesting. When I said I didn't realize I was still carrying anything. This was entirely of my own doing, a piece of separation that thought I had finished with him, or him and my mother, but it was in me. So for me, it's about surrendering and completely loving myself and making myself, the cradling of myself, to feel safe enough with me in order for anything that's left to come up, and not have me, myself, or I, or whatever, judge myself for it. Just surrendering. So doing a trust fall into the ocean and saying, I'm yours. I don't want to carry even the teeniest speck. I think A Course of Love talks about, don't be afraid when things come up if you think you've worked through it, because there is grains of sand, there's specks that are left in the ocean. So that's the deep, deep feeling I have as I sit here listening to you and about my life, is to just do that trust fall over and over. I've been imagining that for some weeks, actually.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So those fragments, those aspects that we still have to deal with, that still seeing ourselves as other. And we need to become perfectly whole in love, right? We can't have something in us that we haven't integrated into the wholeness of who we are.
Well, we can. It's a choice. It's always a choice, right? There's nothing about right and wrong about, you know what I mean? It's just being aware in each moment. I'm different in each moment,
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that at an unconscious level, there's still something of us inside ourselves we're seeing as other, or we haven't integrated it yet. There's still those little fragments, but I mean, I think in our installment, it keeps telling us we're an aspect of God. We're an aspect of God. And it's bringing all those aspects into the wholeness.
Yeah, maybe I hear what you're saying. And I think maybe for me, it's like, oh, yes, it is other. It's like, oh, that's not me. I'm done with that. Within me. It's not about anyone outside. You know what I mean? Oh, that's not
right.
Me. No, not me.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
that's
very
what I'm trying
subtle.
to say.
It is very, very subtle. Very subtle. And that's the complacency I totally give up. I didn't even realize that, maybe that word is a little bit charged because Rick just used it earlier. I was thinking, oh, have I been complacent, But it's a question I can sit with.
Yeah, no, you're raising my own complacency in me. And
Just a willingness to let it go, that's all. A willingness to be
Mhm.
completely in the flow, completely undone. Thanks. Thank you, Lorraine.
What came to me in just now, a sweet, loud voice said, Irene, you're working too hard. You're just working too hard at this. And so now I'm going to spend some time working too hard trying to figure that out. But anyway, I thought I'd share that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know that feeling, Irene.
Yeah. It will just flow. Yeah. Yeah.
And the Course in Miracles constantly tells us that we get in our own way, right? Well, in the Course of Love, it's just get out of the way. Let the flow. Or go with the flow.
Yeah.
We make it, maybe we make it complicated. It's not just about complacency. It's complicating, making it. We like to do that, is complicate things so that we can use our brain to solve it and figure it out. I think that's what A Course in Miracles was getting at.
To that, I can't help but wonder if recognize who is it who's considering that I'm making it too complicated, and where is that coming from? And to what extent is that dependent on relying on my past ideas, my past memories of how I'm supposed to be seeing things? Perhaps I go back to this chapter 121. Perhaps at the key of this is let it all go and begin again.
And
Everyone did what they did, or said what they said, or put together the systems that we did, or patterns, because of not knowing any better. And more importantly, because of not knowing how to know any better. Well, here we are willing to be open even more, or here I am willing. So thanks. I'm complete.
I tend to work with myself often, finding fault with myself because I not so much that I'm judging other people, but I see other people as my mirror. So then I say, oh my goodness sakes, what's the matter with me? Why am I seeing, why am I seeing that reflected? Because if they're doing that and that's not, it's me too, that I'm really judgmental on myself. And it is we're not separate, but still, I find that a real difficulty, getting out of the judgment game, and the person I'm mostly judging is me.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be so quiet.
Silence is golden.
I'm just wrapping you in love, Irene.
Yeah,
That's what I'm doing. All enfolding you in love,
that,
putting that energy out there and wrapping it all around you. all around all of us. So I hope you can feel that.
Yes, thank you.
Dziękuję.
Irene, you gave us a lot to think about. We're all just contemplating it. A lot of wisdom there. Does anyone have any closing thoughts? We have a couple more minutes.
I do want to, one of the things that helps me during this time, and that I've shared before, probably I want to share it again, and that is to request the most benevolent outcome to any situation we find ourselves in, or any thought that comes that bothers us. Because when we request the most benevolent thought, we don't know. I mean, there's millions of different things that could happen. So we give up control of what we think we should happen and just request for the most benevolent outcome. It just works charm. It's a charm. And of course, we're calling on, that higher self for that. And we're taking away our judgment and our limited thoughts about things to open it up to an incredible, to creation, so, but the most benevolent, I think we forget that the universe is benevolent. God is benevolent. There's just so much going on down here on this planet right now that it can be hard to free ourselves up to know that beyond this, there's something else. And also talking about the airline, on a crash course, and, to get our oxygen masks first, it's because we are aware of these things that we really need to use them and really make it part of our thing. Kevin just came on and I was going to say goodbye. Hi, Kevin.
Got the time wrong, have I?
Yeah, you're an hour off.
I've done.
Oh, well, you'll have to watch the recording.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
We're out of sync for 1 week, Kevin. We'll be back in sync next week. We put our clocks back this Sunday, and you guys did it on last Sunday. So sorry.
I'll just go upstairs and cry.
Oh, bless you. Oh, we missed you. Missed you. Missed your
Yeah,
energy.
same here.
That's
well. Okay. Yeah.
Well, better late than never. I do have to go. So everyone, God bless, blessings. Love you all. Take care.
Yeah. See ya,
love
Judy.
everyone. Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
See you,
Judy.
everyone. Bye, everyone.
Kevin,
See you,
love you
everyone.
too,
Bye.
darling.
Love you. Yeah.
See you later.
Aloha.
Bye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you, Rick.
Sonia.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Christina.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
Bill.
Next week.
Bye.
Next week. Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Sonia.
Bye.
Bye.
Aloha
Thank you.
Aloha
Yeah.
and mahalo.
Aloha and
Yeah.
mahalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Blessings.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah.